United States has a lot of funding for most of the courses out there. And funding can come in different ways. These assistantships generally cover your tuition, your living expenses. So meaning once you apply to the school and then you get admitted for your program, it comes with automatic funding. But for those interested in masters in anything, there is funding for you. There is funding in STEM, there's no funding for non-STEM. That is wrong. I have people in West Virginia University studying literature, right, funded. People studying English, right, funded. GRE is not connected to the sources for grad students. So most universities are starting to drop GRE requirements. My bachelor's was in zoology. Now I'm doing my PhD in neuroscience. So if you have a background in a different field and you're thinking, oh, how am I going to do it? It is possible. Now, once you get that document, you then proceed to the visa processing stage. Now, there are multiple layers to the visa processing stage, and I'll be speaking from my experience when I was in Nigeria. Some people finish their PhD in 4 years. Some people finish their PhD in 7 years. In the same program, the same department. All right. There's another thing that happens when you receive your admission letter and your funding letter. You see the thousands of dollars. You see all the zeros at the back. You're like, this is money. This is money. I'm going to be balling. No, you are not. Like, you just go to class. The lecturer comes in, talk, teach, and all that stuff. And then once the lecturer is done, everybody just disappears. I was like, wait, what's going on here? Are we not even just going to, get to talk, get to know each other as, we are new students, we also use our first class together. Are we not going to exchange? What is going on here? All right. So people just left. I was shocked. All right. And it was hard making friends with my classmates.
In this video, you will be hearing a testimony from a student who is currently pursuing his PhD program in the United States, how he studied bachelor's in Nigeria and from bachelor to PhD with full funding in the United States. And he will be sharing the step-by-step with you, and a lot of things that come into play, how to apply, how to get it, what to prepare for, and the likes, all the experience, the lifestyle of a student in the United States, and everything that you need to know for people who are considering the United States of America for their masters or for their PhD. This video is for you, so you want to sit down and relax. So let's just dive into the video as I introduce my guest. So can you please introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. So I'm Ezekiel Irowale. I'm a graduate student here at West Virginia University in the United States. My PhD is in the field of neuroscience. I'm trying to study the connection between menopause and a particular neurodegenerative disease known as Alzheimer's disease, which is a disease of learning and memory. So I'm just trying to understand the connection between menopause and that disease. Why are postmenopausal women more susceptible to that disease? So that's what my research is based on. Nice to meet you.
So how do you apply and get funding to study in the United States?
All right, one thing I'd like to say first is the United States has a lot of funding for most of the courses out there. Of course, there are other countries with funding and scholarships for different courses, different categories of students, but I can make bold to say that the United States most likely has the most funding for people, and they probably have the most schools also. So how did I, apply, and how did I get the funding? Well, it first starts with trying to identify, or you identifying what program you are interested in. In my case, I was interested in neuroscience, and that's what I'm studying right now. So what I did was I searched for schools offering neuroscience in the United States. And as you can assume, there are lots and lots of schools that offers neuroscience, PhD neuroscience in the United States. So what I did then was to look for schools that, have faculty that are doing the research I'm interested in. I told you about Alzheimer's disease. So among all the schools I've listed out, how many of them actually have PIs, professors doing research in that field that I'm interested in? I looked at a lot of things about the schools, what is their ranking for sure? Are they R1? Are they research intensive? Are they, is the program course based? Is it research based? And what are other people saying about the school? So those are some of the things I had to first identify before submitting my applications. And with most, not all, please, with most PhD programs in the United States, especially PhD programs in the biomedical sciences field, Most of them have funding, and funding can come in different ways. It could be research assistantship, so where you get to assist professors in doing their research while you're also doing your own research. So that's research assistantship. There's also teaching assistantship, so you assist professors in teaching courses or grading courses or teaching labs. There's also, I believe, administrative assistantship, where you do some administrative work for your department and then you get paid for that. These assistantships generally cover your tuition, your living expenses, and a few stipends, something to spend, to use to cover your living expenses every month. So I searched for schools, I identified the schools of interest, then I applied to those schools. And fortunately for me, West Virginia University offers automatic funding for every admitted candidate. So meaning once you apply to the school and then you get admitted for your program, it comes with automatic funding. So your tuition is covered, living expenses to some extent, and then health insurance as well. So yeah, that basically summarizes it.
Okay, so the funding is just for the funding is just for PhD students, right? Not for degree, not for masters. It's just for PhD.
There are funding for masters. All right.
But
There
is
are
it
funding
automatic like
for
for PhD?
masters, definitely. But there are more. And my opinion, let me say that my opinion here might be biased because of my own field and my exposure. So what I'm trying to say is, based on what I know so far, PhD programs, more PhD programs in the biomedical sciences field are funded compared to masters. Now, masters are funded, and it's not just limited to biomedical sciences. Masters in art, masters in different field, all right, in accounting, whatever it is you want to think about. They are funding for whatever you are trying to apply for. You just have to find it. The point I'm trying to make here is PhD programs in biomedical sciences field have more funding because of NIH funding and all those other NSF, all those funding sources. There are a lot more funding sources for PhD research in biomedical sciences field. But for those interested in masters in anything, there is funding for you. You just have to look for it. And funding for masters programs are usually teaching assistantships. So you get to teach. You teach courses. All right. So if you're interested in a master's degree in the United States, what you want to look for is teaching assistantship. Some schools offer teaching assistantship as part of your admission process. You don't need to apply for it separately. Some schools will ask you to apply for the teaching assistantship separately. So you need to, look out for what the school requirement is. But yes, there is funding for almost any course you want to study on this. There is funding. You just have to look for it. That's something that discourages people. They say there is funding in STEM. There's no funding for non-STEM. That is wrong. All right, that is wrong. There are funding for non-STEM courses as well. I have people here in West Virginia University studying literature, all right, funded. People studying English, all right, funded. There are courses like that. There are many non-STEM courses here, and also in other schools in the United States that are funded. You have to do the hard work and find those schools. Unfortunately, we have AI tools now that can help. So go to Meta AI or ChatGPT or Bard or Gemini and then search, top 10 schools or 50 schools in the United States with teaching assistantship in French. And that's it. Give you the list of those schools. Then do your research, find those schools, look at the school requirements, and then shoot your application. The kind of mindset you need to have first when you are trying to replicate these things, or when you're trying to, apply to grad school abroad, is believe that you can do it. All right. And this is not a cliche. This is not just something that I'm just saying off the top of my head. You have to believe that it is possible because there's a lot of hard work involved. And then you have to then put in the work. All right. All these things I said within less than 5 minutes. It takes weeks and weeks of research. All right. But then when I was applying to grad school, AI was not as common as it is right now. Now you can take advantage of those AI tools and make your search faster. I had to do the search manually, all right, but now you can streamline your search, and that will help. You can complete your search in 2 days, and you are good to go. All you need to do is just check requirements and all that stuff. So yeah, that's basically how to do it. But it's not a formula, all right. Different people have different methods. Some people prefer to apply to schools where they know they have people, already in those schools, all right. Contacts in those schools. They just ask their contact and then they apply to those schools. Different people, different strategy, all right. But if you don't have anybody anywhere, all right, and you want to start from scratch, I already give you somewhere to start with.
Okay, thank you very much. And what's the most important aspect of application or what sets you apart that could make you get admitted and get the funding?
It's your application materials. All right. Your application materials has to be top notch. Think about this. You are applying to a particular school. You need to know that you are not the only one applying to that school. You have people from all over the world applying to that school. You have people from China, from India, from Europe, from from different countries and different continents. All right. So prepare your mind that you are competing with others. Your application material, it will be competing with others. So no matter how good you are, no matter how excellent your profile is, if you cannot replicate that in your application materials, then you might not be able to stand out. So talking about your CV, get a professional to review your CV for you. All right. I understand that finances can be a constraint because when it comes to application, you have a lot of money to spend. If finance is a constraint, to talk to people that are already in grad school, people that are already here, all right, people that are already where you are going to, ask them to help you. Please help you review your CV, your statement of purpose. All right, when you are writing your personal statement or your statement of purpose or diversity statement, all those essays, please make sure that they are top notch. Get someone to help you review them over and over and over again because they have to stand out. They cannot be cliché. They cannot be what they've been reading over and over. You have to be different. And this is what I've been learning is people are not buying the sub story anymore, especially if you're applying for a PhD. No one's People are no longer interested in your sub story. You know what people say, my grandmother died of sickle cell, so I want to study sickle cell, or my brother died of multiple sclerosis, so I want to those sub stories don't really carry much weight anymore. People want to see research, substance. What problem are you trying to solve? How do you plan to solve it? Why are you interested in that particular problem? So you have to write essay in such a way that it shines light on your motivation and your ability, or and it shows your willingness to learn as well. Review your documents, make sure there are no errors, there are no typos. You are not saying it would be my pleasure to apply to Columbia University and then somewhere else in the essay you are saying Yale University or other universities. You can't have that kind of mistakes. People do that a lot because they apply to multiple schools. They forget to review their documents properly. The document for school A, they sent it to school B. Automatically, both school A and school B will give you rejection. So you are losing on both fronts there. Right. So what makes you stand out? Your application materials has to be top notch. If the school says GRE is required or GRE is optional, please try and submit GRE. There are lots of these days that are waiving the GRE requirements because there have been studies showing that GRE is not connected to the success of grad students. So most universities are starting to drop GRE requirements. So check and confirm if you need to write GRE or not. If most of the schools you are interested in, say you have 10 schools on your list, or 5 schools on your list, or 20 schools on your list, whatever, and all of them or most of them are saying GRE is not required, then there's no point writing GRE. Don't waste your money writing GRE in that case. But other documents, make sure they are top notch. If you are submitting your English proficiency, make sure it is your school, your score is very high. Just overall, make sure your profile is strong. Okay, and first class. I know first class is not the only criteria to have a strong profile. No, there are other things involved. Your leadership experience, volunteering experiences, online courses, and all that stuff. So if you know all you have in your CV is just your first class, you are not helping yourself. All right. So try and take courses online. Are you interested? Do you want to go study something in the United States, a particular course, say chemical engineering, process optimization, or whatever? Go and take online courses on those things you are interested in. They will help you. They will help you a lot. And then if you are fortunate enough to get invited for interview, your interview has to be top notch also. I tell people during the interview stage, they're already interested in admitting you. You're already one leg in. What you need to do is impress them. Make sure you are personable to them. At the interview stage, they are no longer interested in what you have in your head. They want to see if they vibe with you, vibe in quotes now. They want to see if they get your energy. You understand what I mean? So when you are talking with them, you want to be conversational. You don't want to sound like a robot. You don't want to sound like a memorized things, all right? It's not an interview per se, it's a conversation. And once you vibe with them, once you impress them, you are in. That's it. All right. So, and of course, prepare your mind that many schools will also give you rejection because, like I said, the competition is tough out there. But once your profile is strong and your application materials are solid, there's nothing stopping you from getting that admission. People are getting it on a steady. Thousands of people coming to the United States every year to study. So if those people can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You did not ask about this, but I'm just going to chip it in to encourage people. My bachelor's was in zoology. Now I'm doing my PhD in neuroscience. So if you have a background in a different field and you're thinking, oh, how am I going to do it? It is possible. All right, it is possible. You just need to get the right information and seek the right mentorship. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Okay. So if your BA was in zoology, did you do a master or pre-master before you apply for a PhD?
No, from BSc zoology straight to PhD neuroscience.
Wow. That is a big step. That is awesome. So no master in between, just PhD. Wow, that's awesome.
No.
Okay, and as talking about the funding, you mentioned different type of funding that are actually available. Uh, is it when one is looking for funding, what type of funding is always available? Should one look for external funding, or how should one discover the funding that are available for the program that he wants to run, he want to participate in?
Okay, that's a very good question, and I assume that this is about the United States specifically because if we are extending this to other countries, then other answers apply. But I'm going to answer within the context of the United States. When you are applying, first you need to see what kind of funding is available in the school in the school, and where to get that is on the school website. All right. So when you are doing your research, go to the school website, the financial aid office, or funding page, whatever. It's there on every school website, and find out the kind of funding they have. Some schools have both research and teaching. Some have research, teaching, and administrative. And then some just have a general umbrella name called graduate assistantship, GA. They just say GA, graduate assistantship, and that's it. Because when you enter, you will know what kind of funding you are getting, whether it is teaching or whether it is research. But most of them will tell you ahead of time whether it is teaching or whether it is research. So which one should you seek for? It depends on your program. All right. If you're going for a PhD and your program has research assistantship as well as teaching assistantship, I would say go for the research assistantship. Because with the research assistantship, you are basically working in the lab, you are helping working on projects, the lab project, as well as your project. And that's fine. If you are doing teaching assistantship, you are teaching courses, grading courses, teaching labs and all that stuff. And then you are doing your own research too. So it's like two work in one. All right. So I think the relative best is the research assistantship. But of course, not everyone is interested in research. Not everyone will be doing research. Those in non-STEM will not be doing the kind of research we in STEM do. All right. They will not be doing wet lab work and all that stuff. So the kind of funding that will be most available for those in non-STEM will be teaching assistantship or administrative assistantship. But yes, but it doesn't really matter. Let me not say it doesn't matter, but what I was trying to say a few seconds ago was that whether it is teaching or whether it is research, the good news is your tuition is covered, your health insurance is covered, and then you get some money to cover your living expenses. That's it. You don't want to start struggling to get money to support yourself in grad school. Now, some schools have other funding sources. So some have scholarships, fellowships, externships for in quotes. So you can get money from other sources. That's some schools call it externship, or maybe they have a different name for it. Some just say external scholarship. So there are internal scholarships, there are external scholarships, there's fellowship, internal, external fellowship. So there are lots of information, and the best way to get that information is to do your research on the school you are interested in and see which one you can apply for.
Okay. Can you talk about a little bit about the visa procedure, what you do to acquire the visa, probably some administrative fee that are attached to it, and you can also talk about maybe, okay, let's just talk about the visa first, the visa requirements, the interview, and what you're supposed to get in place.
All right. So before you even start to think about visa, you need to first get an admission from the school. So once you get an admission from the school will send you a document known as the I-20. And on the I-20, there will be information about your name, your biodata, the program you're coming in for, the funding information, and all that stuff. So that document, the I-20 document, is very critical. That is your identity as a student in the United States. That is something that makes you a student per se in the United States. Now, once you get that document, you then proceed to the visa processing stage. Now, there are multiple layers to the visa processing stage, and I'll be speaking from my experience when I was in Nigeria. So you first need to create a profile, more like a massive biodata profile on a particular website, the government website. Once you get to that stage, you will get that information. So the form is called DS-160. So you basically fill that GS160 form. It's a multi-page form where you input a lot of information about yourself, your family, and all that stuff, as well as the school. Now, once you have filled your DS160, and by the way, before you submit your DS160, make sure um, someone that is already here in the United States, make sure they help you just take a look at your information and be sure that you don't have anything wrong there. All right. If there's anything you don't understand, they can explain to you before you submit, so you don't shoot yourself in the leg, basically. Once you submit that form, then you go ahead to the embassy website and then create a profile on the embassy website. There's a particular confirmation number from the DS160 that you will use on the embassy website. So you basically, register on the website, and then once you get approved, you find a date. There are appointment dates available. These days, I heard that the appointment dates can be very scarce. So you need to stay on top of that, get an appointment date. Once you have an appointment date and you've confirmed your appointment date, the next thing is to prepare for your interview. Now, when you get to that point also, you most likely connect with other people that are in that stage with you, and then you can prepare for the interview. There are things you need to be aware of when it comes to this interview, and that is beyond the scope of this particular meeting. But prepare for your interview, go for your interview, ace your interview. Once you have your visa, then you are good to go. I don't know if that answers the question. That's the process. That's the workflow. And then fees, yes. Speaking of fees, if you have full funding, there's no need showing any proof of fund for your I-20. All right. Once you have full funding. If you don't have full funding, you need to show proof of fund, maybe whether from your daddy, your mommy, or whatever, family funds, personal funds, be your own funds. So you need to show that you have enough money to cover the rest of your expenses here in the United States. Once you have the I-20, after supplying the proof of fund for those who don't have full scholarship, the next thing is filling that GS160, right? Now, at some point, when you fill that GS160, you are going to pay a particular fee known as the service fee. It is called SEVIS, a service fee or service fee. I don't know what the right pronunciation is. We just call it service fee. It could also actually be service fee. It's around $350, I believe. It's around $350. You have to pay it. All right, you have to pay it. We all paid it. And once you've done that, when you're applying for visa, you also pay visa application fee. I don't know how much it is now. I guess it's like $160. I'm not sure. Please don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. But when you get to that point, you know what the actual fee is. Then I guess once you pay those fees, you should be good to go with your visa.
Yeah, thank you about that. And I also want to ask, what kind of lifestyle does a PhD student lives in the United States, or probably a master student? You can just talk, maybe a master. You're not a master student. You can maybe, I know you must have known some people. Like what kind of lifestyle can one expect to come into the United States to live as a PhD student? Maybe it's a stressful one. Maybe it's an interesting one. Maybe it's full of whatever. People used to have this kind of daydream about what's going to be like. Is it always at equilibrium with what they thought they're going to meet, or they meet something else, or how interesting it is, or how understated do people used to think about it? Do we underrate the experience, or it's overrated, or just talk about it?
Uh, so people's experiences are different when it comes to their graduate school here. So I'm just trying to say that we all don't, we may not experience the exact same thing, or we may not have the exact same lifestyle. So I'll be talking generally as well as personally. Okay. For those coming from Nigeria or from other African countries, one reality check, one thing you will discover when you get here is it is not a bed of roses. As soon as you get here, you will know, it will hit you hard in the face that this is not what this is not what I was daydreaming about. You get hit with a lot of expenses real fast. And then before you know it, classes have started. And then you have to go to multiple classes. And 2 weeks into your classes, you're already writing, exams this, exams that, assignment this, assignment that. It's intense. All right. But the school provide everything you need to succeed. That's one of the big difference between the education system here and the one back home in Nigeria. Is back home in Nigeria, you have a lot crammed together into one whole semester, one whole session. You have to do this, do that. It's just way too stressful. But here, if you manage yourself well, you will realize that It is possible to ace it, all right? It is possible to succeed. It is possible to excel. It is stressful. It is also very stressful because you have a lot to do. But then the professors are also understanding, okay? They are open to discussions, open to feedback and all that stuff. So regarding your academics, you will face some intense pressure from classes, coursework. You have a lot to catch up with. But like I said, the academic system is fine. It's designed in a way that they put students first, right? Students first before professors. That's my personal belief on that. Now, when you come in, how you balance your work life and life matters a lot. Okay, there are people that only work, say, Monday to Friday. I have someone who told me I only work PhD student. I only work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Anything after 5, I'm not doing any schoolwork again. If I'm not able to achieve any, if I'm not able to finish my schoolwork by 5, I have to take it over to the next day. So from 5 is I just watch movie, play game, just rest, talk with family, talk with friends, and that's me. I don't, and that's them, all right? And that works for them. That doesn't work for me because my own kind of research requires me to be. There are days where I have to be in the lab every single day, straight for like 30 days. As I'm talking with you right now, after this interview, I'll be going to the lab. And this is Saturday. There are several Saturdays, several Sunday evenings, Sunday mornings, Saturday. It depends on your research, all right? So you have to tailor your lifestyle to suit what you are trying to do here. I am required to be there. Like, nobody's forcing me to be there, but the nature of the work I am doing requires me to go to the lab on some weekends. Okay, and that's not the same for people. That's not the same for other people. I know master students. Some master students are on a rush because they have 2 years to finish the program. They are doing courses. They are doing research. They are doing this. They have to get paper out and all that stuff. So they are under this constant pressure. And then some other master students are just flexing. All right. So it will be different for people. It will be different for people. Some PhD students, some people finish their PhD in 4 years. Some people finish their PhD in 7 years. In the same program, the same department. All right. So it's so diverse. It's so different. Okay. It's so different. Now, lifestyle wise, you have to be conscious about what you want for yourself and then design your schedule. All right. Design your schedule to accommodate all the things that matters to you. Okay, you need to talk to you. It also depends on the kind of PI you have, depends on the kind of lab you have. My PI does not care about when I come into the lab or when I leave the lab. He just cares about getting the work done. So 2 days ago, I was in the lab from like 10 a.m. to like close to 10 p.m. Yesterday, I went to the lab around 12 p.m. in the afternoon and then left around 4. So I can go in whenever I want. I can leave whenever I want and I can get to do other things as well. So people should be aware that they are not coming here to flex. They are not coming here to enjoy. No, people don't want to hear this, but they need to start looking beyond the snow pictures they see online and then find pictures that grad students post. Yes, you will be able to experience and enjoy all those fun things. You will have fun. You will be good. You'll be fine. But please know that you are not coming here to just flex. Okay, you have to put in the work. And there's also there's this common saying back home in Nigeria that if you even like someone that finished with a third class or a second class in Nigeria and come to the US and then lead the class, it doesn't work like that. I don't know if you've heard that before. As someone if you finish a second class in Nigeria, you are like first class in India. It's very wrong. It will shock you. It will shock you that if you are not careful, you finish a second class and then come back and land in third class here. Right. So that is how intense the program is. People need to start changing their mindset, how they approach to that school here and realize that it is work, but in the end, it is worth it. That's just what I'll say. It is worth it. In the end, it is worth it. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that answers it perfectly. Thank you very much. And can you talk maybe just briefly on the housing, the transportation, and feeding? Just briefly, how is it like?
Okay, so that just talking about I'll put all of those things in the basket of living expenses or cost of living. Actually, cost of living. Cost of living varies widely by state, depending on the state I'm in West Virginia. Someone in West Virginia will not have the same cost of living as someone in New York, all right, or California. Okay. People in Arizona, we don't have exactly the same cost of living as those in Montana or Mississippi. So it varies a lot. It varies a lot. But one thing I can say for sure is your housing will take a good chunk of your stipend. See, there's another thing that happens when you receive your admission letter and your funding letter, you see the thousands of dollars, you see all the zeros at the back. You're like, this is money, this is money, I'm gonna be balling. No, you are not. You're not going to be bothered because when you get here, you realize that you have a lot of expenses. You have to pay for the housing. So in some states, you have to get a car. In some states, because the general transportation system doesn't suit your work or doesn't suit your movement requirement. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, Depending on the state, and there are some states where you don't even need to get a car. There are buses, there are trains, all right. There are trains, there are buses that function effectively. In some other states, their buses are not as effective as others. So you have to find a way to move yourself around. So you have to like probably get a car loan or something, a very small county loan, and then you pay back the loan gradually. Your groceries might not be exactly the same. Someone might be spending, say, $150 per month in one state, and then another person is spending $400 per month in another state. So it varies widely. It varies a lot. I'll say someone can be paying rent, say $500 per month rent in one state, and then in another state, another person is paying $2,000 per month. So it's so wide, it varies. So what I would ask you to do is there's a website online where you can compare cost of living across multiple states. I don't know the website offhand, but if you check, if you look for it online, for those interested, if you are interested in a particular state or even cities within states might even vary. So check the cost of living and then you can compare.
Okay. What are like the culture shock that you experience being in the United States? What are the culture shock that you experience? And also in another aspect, what are the also the your shock about lecturer or professor student relationship that like shock you that wow, because there have been some people who say wow, their professor offers to come and pick them at home. I know you can't decide that with a professor in Nigeria, you know, so things like that. What are some culture shock you experience and professor student relationship?
Yes. So I had quite a good number of culture shocks when I got here. One, and please note that people's experiences are different. My experience is not the ultimate experience. I'm in just one small town in one state, in one corner of the United States. If you have to take the map and then look at my location, you see that just one invisible dot that will be there. So US is so big, it's so huge, it's so wide, and because of that, experiences are different. Okay, so what I'm about to tell you are just based on my experiences, which necessarily does not mean it is the same all over the United States. It's not even the same with then the city I am in. All right. When I got here, I realized that the people here, and this is personal, this is just my experience. The people here they are not as communal as the people back home. All right. So speaking from my experience, when I was an undergrad, I was friends with all my classmates. I know all my classmates' name. We talk, share gist, we vibe in school and all that. And then I got here and I noticed that most people just want to be on their own. Like, you just go to class, the lecturer comes in, talk, teach, and all that stuff. And then once the lecturer is done, everybody just disappears. I was like, wait, what's going on here? Are we not even just going to, get to talk, get to know each other as, we are new students, we just use our first class together. Are we not going to like exchange? What is going on here? All right. So people just left. Um, I was, I was shocked. All right. And it was hard making friends with my classmates. I'm in my fourth year, right? And I can count the number of people in my cohort that I talk with. It's that serious. All right, it's that serious. People just want to, the expression we use in Nigeria, date their day. People just want to date their day. People just want to be on their own. And when you understand that, you let people be, okay, people want their personal space. And then you need to respect that. And there's nothing bad with that. It's just surprising to me, based on where I was coming from. Um, so making friends was really difficult, but thankfully we have a very good Nigerian community here. Very, very good Nigerian community. I just stay with my Nigerian people and life goes on. All right. And I like that. I like them. So, but just that is one of the cultural shocks. The second cultural shock is that, um, and this is probably going to sound funny. The fact that you can call your HOD by his first name. The fact that you can call your professors by their first name, someone that has been a professor for 20 something years, you can call them by their first name and say, hey, this person. Yeah, I was shocked. See, I know that, based on the things we've seen in movies and all that stuff, I know people use first names. But when I came here and then I saw the way students were calling their supervisors by their first name and talking to them as if they are mates, I was shocked. And then I was surprised. I was like, okay, okay. Yes. So it took a while to get used to that. And another culture shock is this might be weird. People treat pets here as kids. I do not know how to explain that in a way that you will understand, but people treat their pets, their dogs, their cats, their rats, their frogs, whatever, they treat them like a human being. And there's nothing wrong with that. I was just surprised because I know back home, pets are pets, all right? Pets are pets. Pets are also community. So if you have a pet, you take care of a pet, but you don't equate your pet to a baby. You don't, it's hard for me to explain. But when you get it, you realize what I'm talking about. So be prepared for that. The next thing would be this is more financial, how the system is built around credits and debts. Financially speaking, the US is built in such a way that they want you to owe money. They want you to be in debt. They want you to constantly build your credit, pay money, pay this. It was a different system than we had in Nigeria, and it took a while to get used to it. I was surprised. Everything is borrowed, is pay this, pay that, pay that. Get this, pay in 3 years, get this one, pay in 20 years, buy this one, pay in 2 months. Like it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. There are probably other cultural shocks that I might not remember now, but those are some of the things that stood out. That stood out to me when I got here. What was the second question?
Okay, what's the student lecturer relationship like? Student professor relationship like?
Yes. It's a very good one, and also speaking based on my experience. Now there are some bad eggs. That's the truth. There are some bad eggs. There are some bad professors that just treat students bad. But the thing is, if multiple students report a particular lecturer and say, "Hey, this person is treating students bad," they'll most likely they work on it. So when I work on it, it's possible the PI might leave, the person might leave, or they might remove the student to another place. So the student lecturer, the student professor relationship is a really good one. They care about you. That's the truth. Most of them care about you. They care about your grades. They don't want you to fail. They don't take pride in your failure. All right. When I was working in Nigeria, I've heard of people saying that the lecturer will come into the class and tell you, the A is for God, B is for me, C is for the best of the best among you, D is for the rest of you. Some people take pride and say, 20 students failed that course. That they take pride in how many people failed their course. It's not like that here. They are not after your failure. They want you to succeed. In fact, if multiple students are failing a particular course, they will question the lecturer. They will question the PI. Are you not doing your job? Why are your students failing? Students' failure is almost equal to professors' failure here. Most of them are interested in you succeeding, not you failing. Now, do people fail? Do students fail? Of course, if you are not serious, you fail. And the one thing I also discovered when I got here was that the grading system is slightly different. For instance, for most of my courses, A starts from 90. If you get 89, you get a B. For you to get an A, you have to get 90 and above in some of the courses I took. So, and if you get below a C, you fail the course basically. So I think I might be wrong. People need to check their syllabus when they get in. But I know I think I still remember some of the courses were like A, B, C, and F. So there's no D, there's no E. Once you get below, so A is like 90 and above, B is like 80 and above, C is like 70 and above. If you get below 70, you did not pass the course basically. And it varies from program to program, course to course, and all that stuff. But the lecturer-student relationship is a good one based on my experience. They have meetings, regular meetings. They ask students, what do you want? What do you need? How can we improve? What do you want us to change in the department? Programs directors also call you and say, I call a meeting of leaders in the department and say, what do you want from us? What do you want us to introduce? What do you want us to change? It's a good one. In my opinion, it's a good one.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. Thank you. And I think that sums it actually. So, do you have any thing final you want to talk about?
Speaking to the prospective graduate students, I would say, like I mentioned before, believe that it is possible for you. All right, it doesn't matter what your fit is, it doesn't matter what your background is. It is possible. Whatever it is you want to do, people have done it before, and it is possible for you to do it. Don't give up. You're going to work hard. You are going to get a lot of rejection. It is the truth. I'm not saying something to discourage. It is the truth that you have to accept. There will be rejection, but guess what? You only need one solid admission offer, one solid scholarship, and that's it. That's it. You only need one. All right. So work very hard, get mentorship, seek mentorship. And I'm also a person of prayer. So I would also advise you, if you also believe in prayer, pray very hard also. There's a saying, work as if it all depends on you, pray as if it all depends on God. And then in the end, everything will work out well for your good. So don't give up.
And that's all I want to share with you in this video, and I hope you've been able to learn a lot. The culture shock, everything, the visa application, what to do, how to get admitted, and how to look for funding, and the likes have been shared. You can kindly like this video, subscribe to this channel. This is Opportunity News, where I share opportunities all across the world, advancing your career and migrating to anywhere in the world. That's what I do on this channel. Kindly subscribe to this channel, and hopefully see you in subsequent videos. Thank you.